And I would like to introduce to you now Alison Dodson Anderson, owner of A. Dodson's. She has a shop in Suffolk, which was your first shop, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach as well. She is a native to Hampton Roads and is very passionate about giving back to the community and giving back to the entrepreneurs.
Hi guys, I am born and raised here. I went to both NSA and Western Branch high schools, so I grew up in the retail industry. It is literally in my blood, flowing through it. My grandfather had a general store called Kirschmeyer's. It is where you bought your nails, you bought your parcheesi board for your gift for a party you're going to, you bought your lettuce, and then they had a barber shop in the back. It was truly a general store. His tagline was, if we don't have it, you don't need it. So after that, my mom actually had a little antique store. It wasn't so little. It's called Once Upon a Time, and she taught me all about antiques and had wonderful items from all over the country. And I really enjoyed kind of refinishing furniture with her as I was growing up. And I was about 16, she decided to go to the Atlanta market, and I went with her, and we just kind of fell in love with buying things and bringing them back to people, and her business evolved. I then went off to LSU in Louisiana, go Tigers, to go to college. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian at the time, and quickly learned that I couldn't get through organic chemistry. So switched to fashion merchandising and double majored in business as well. Because my dad told me that I couldn't just sew buttons with my life and had to do something else, and he was the one that really pushed me to learn the business side of things. After LSU, I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. I spent 2 years there working on my master's in textiles. So I've always kind of loved the way fabrics feel and what they mean to our lives. I love different textures and doing a play on textures. And while at FIT, I got to intern with some of the most famous designers in the world. I worked for Christian Dior, I worked for Balenciaga, I worked for Givenchy. I got to go back and forth to Paris. I got to do the Couture runway shows. Just had an incredible kind of right place, right time. I think today with social media, I don't know that I would have had the opportunity to do all the things that I was doing, because I was literally just knocking on doors at that time to look for every internship I could possibly get. I finally wound up, after graduating, at Anthropologie. I know it sounds like a big name now, but back then it wasn't. They only had 5 stores, and New York was one of their flagship stores. Wayne, Pennsylvania was their first. So here I am, just fresh out of grad school, working a $40 million sales floor in Soho, and I worked just incredible hours, but I learned just so much just from working for Anthropologie. They weren't a public company at the time, so they were doing everything wrong and everything right at the same time, if you know what I mean when I say that. And it just really opened my eyes to when you're taking a company and growing it. While I was there, we went from 5 stores, I believe, up to 25, and I'm not even sure what they're at now, but it's an incredible growth. And now to be a public company like they are, I believe they bought back Glenn Beck, who was the owner, and my boss at the time in Anthropologie, to kind of put some life back into that company. After leaving Anthropologie, I then went to Givenchy, and that's where I really went back and kind of really got into the high-end fashion world. And loved it. Again, was back and forth to Paris quite a bit, and learned retail and how to really wait on people. The French have a wonderful way of bringing fashion into your life and everyday living. They believe that it should be done on just it should be part of who you are and every day. And learning that level of customer service was kind of what I brought back from that. So I kept calling my parents in that kind of 10 years I was in New York City, and I said, I want to come home. And my parents would always say, no, you don't. You're not ready. And I, Mom, Dad, I want to come home. A year later, same conversation. No, you don't. No, you don't. And it was some of the best advice I've ever been given. I didn't realize what they were trying to do with me then, but they were just saying, Allison, you're not ready because you need to work for someone else. you need to work for someone else in your industry. You need to keep taking the next job to get to the next promotion that you can do. And it really was incredible advice without them sitting me down and saying that's what they were doing. So after about the 10th time, I think it was shortly after 9/11, I called my parents up and I said, I'm coming home. And my parents said, it still makes me kind of teary-eyed, they said, okay. And I was like, what was different? And my dad got on the phone and he said, you said you're coming? You didn't ask. And that's when I kind of knew that I was ready to go out and do my own thing. Everyone always asked me what was the tipping point for me, and that was it. When it's just something that went off inside me and said I was ready. So now I've got my little teaser, sorry. So one of the things I always, since the day I started my own business back in 2003, was to really say that I wanted to change the face of retail. So I kind of always use this slide just to always remind me of where I came from. Retail is kind of seen as, and I think restaurants are the same way, you have to have what it takes to get it done and get out there and do it. And it's not for everyone, truly it isn't. You have to want to offer amazing customer service. But one of the things in changing the face of retail for me is making sure that we partner with other retailers. It's always kind of been like, you're my competition, no, you're my competition, and we don't talk enough. So I kind of use this slide to remind myself as a retailer to always bring in other retailers and talk and be a family. So hope I'm doing this right. Maybe? Yeah. Ooh, nope, sorry, went too fast. Way too fast. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. So in 2003, I moved home and I opened up my flagship store, which is in Suffolk on Bridge Road. It's in the middle, absolutely nowhere. Now it might be somewhere, but back then it was literally nowhere. It's just a little old house on the top of a hill, and it was a white building. I painted it this obnoxious turquoise you'll see in all of our logos, and put some green on there. And people started to stop because they were like, "What's that building? What's that? What is that?" And so it was all about our branding, and I knew I had to do that. I tried to pick some colors that I believed I could live with for, let's see, 15 years later almost now, and I'm glad I did. It was kind of one of the best things I did. It cost me $5,000 to paint that building. Don't ask me why I know that. I'll never forget it because I probably didn't have the money at the time to do it. I cashed in my 401k. I hope my husband will forgive me one day for that. He's a financial advisor. It was right before we got married, so he didn't know what I did. I would not advise that, and I started my business. I went to a local bank, took my great business plan, and said one day I'll have $1 million plus business. The banker told me that I wouldn't, and I took back my plan 8 years later and said, here's my $1 million business. Aren't you sad you passed on this letter? And so, never take no and never take a door slammed in your face as a reason to stop doing what you're doing. In 2011, we launched our website. We tried one small kind of face back in 2007, just saying that this is like a place card holder, but when we actually had retail online, it was 2011, and I would say it really didn't kind of hit the road until about 2013, where we kind of knew what we were doing, made tons of mistakes, overspent on our website. We didn't have a back-end POS, point of sale, that linked up to our website. I made every mistake in the book, so if you have any questions, just ask me. I'm sure I made it. I was telling Mallory earlier, it's like $250,000 of mistakes that I have in getting my business up and running. In 2013, we opened our second location on Colley Avenue. It was the best thing I ever did. It was the hardest thing I ever did. It's like having a baby. Going from 1 to 2 is just one of the hardest things you can do. But then going from 2 to 3, piece of cake. So we opened up our third location in Virginia Beach in 2015. We have an incredible group that we work with that helps us kind of plan out where we're going and what our vision is. I'm constantly changing our plan of our 3-year vision, or even we do it in a 1-month, a 3-month, a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year plan. I'm constantly changing that vision as the marketplace changes along with me. If you had asked me when I opened our third location how many more I'd have, I'd say as many as I can put on paper. I'm now a mom of 4, and I want to slow down a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I don't know that I'm going to put the brakes on anything, but I think we're happy where we are. I want to offer amazing customer service, and I want to make sure that everyone who walks in our store feels like they are part of our family. So growth scares me beyond just the 3 stores that we are right now until I can actually get a model down that actually says, customer service is going to be in every single door the way I wanted it from day one you walked in one of our stores. When I did open the business in 2003, my business model that I laid down and the one that I actually put on paper for the bank was that I'd be selling items closer to when I worked in New York, somewhere around the $500 price point to $1,000. I can tell you that my business model changed once I really learned my market of who I was selling to, and my average ticket out the door is $44.62, just to put it in perspective for you. So did I make a huge mistake? I did, but I quickly learned what that mistake was, and I changed who my target market was. One of the things that I'm sure you all know when you're kind of putting that business plan in is to really look at your demographics and know who they are. Knowing that number and knowing who you're going to reach and who you're going to draw in is just key, and being willing to change when it doesn't quite go the way you thought it would is probably one of the best pieces of advice I can give you. So now I want to kind of talk about a project that's been near and dear to my heart kind of as of late. Oops. Let me quicker. Sorry about this, guys. So how many of you know about Vibrant Spaces here in downtown Norfolk? Does anyone know about it? A couple of you? Okay, so it's this incredible program that the DNC, the Downtown Norfolk Council, came up with a couple years ago. I was not actually part of the very first Vibrant Spaces group. What they wanted to do is really bring some spaces downtown back open, whether it be through restaurants, whether it be through retail, whether it be through any kind of activity that would get more street life kind of going. So they created a program in which they had 86 applicants in 7 weeks. They initially placed 3 businesses. Along with it, vibrancy grants were given. So say you needed a new storefront look or lift, or you needed something done to an historical building, there were some grants awarded there. And 8 applicants opened throughout the city. So what I love about this program is that it turns into, user error. Prince Inc. is one of the places that actually got a vibrancy grant. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. They do screen printing. It's pretty amazing. If you haven't, go there. The other one was was the crepes as well, and then the next one was the dog shop right there on Granby, and you can take your dog there. It's a dog park. You can get them washed. They have different things that you can get for your different animals and things, because they saw all of the animals kind of moving in downtown. So kind of neat. These people probably wouldn't have started their businesses in downtown Norfolk if it wasn't for Vibrant Spaces. They were given half off their rent for 3 years. They were given some grant money to get started, and they had to put together some incredible business models. So why am I telling you all this? This led, I give up. I'm going to just put that down. This vibrancy grants led to Sell the Market. How many of you know about Sell the Market? Okay, great. Love hearing that. So this is an incredible program. This is when I came into the Vibrant Spaces. For about 5 years, I tried to work with the city of Norfolk to get some type of incubator program going on for retail, and I didn't have much success. But DNC had this program going on with Vibrant Spaces, and they were nice enough to pull me in and ask my advice, and we had a space come open at Selden Market, and here at Selden Market, we were able to open up 12 incubator spaces, which is extremely just fabulous. I don't know what city can say that they opened up 12 small businesses in a day just from something that the city put behind. But also, what's really neat about it is there's lots of pop-up shops that can be there. So a little short video. A lot of you may know Drew from Grow Interactive. If you do, Grow and Drew are both kind of what's behind all of the marketing and everything that you're going to see. So I'm going to take any credit for that.
In 2015, the Downtown Norfolk Council and its partners created Vibrant Spaces, a program that connected aspiring street-level businesses with available spaces in downtown Norfolk. We offered reduced rents and startup grants to open some of the city's most exciting small businesses, ones that are helping shape the neighborhood while raising the bar for street-level vibrancy. We've also awarded 8 grants to existing downtown businesses, helping them upgrade their experiences inside and out. The program has been a resounding success. Vibrant Spaces drew nearly 100 applicants in its first round. Right away, we saw the need to create more opportunities for businesses just like these. We especially wanted to find a way to bring to life the most inspiring business ideas that maybe weren't ready for a multi-year lease commitment, or needed a way to test out their concepts or grow their audiences. With that in mind, I'm thrilled to share the next evolution of Vibrant Spaces, the Selden Market. Selden Market will be an incubator for street-level businesses for the entire city of Norfolk. For entrepreneurs, it's a platform for trying out new ideas. And for our city's residents and visitors, it's a one-of-a-kind experience that features amazing new businesses. Thanks to our incredible partners at the City of Norfolk, we're bringing this concept to life in an iconic location, the Selden Arcade. It's a nearly century-old building with a remarkable history at the center of the city. And today, it's literally surrounded by some of Norfolk's newest and most groundbreaking commercial and residential developments. The Selden Market will offer spaces with short-term leases and reduced rental rates to help great businesses get off the ground. We'll have small storefronts that can be leased by the year, along with booths that can be rented by the day or the week. We're also creating a few spaces for mentor businesses who can share their time and expertise in exchange for a great location and lease rate. We're looking for the most exciting, one-of-a-kind street-level businesses, the ones that will thrive in a modern era. The strongest applicants will have concepts that embrace new business ideas and create unique experiences, products, and services. We want entrepreneurs who understand that the place they create is just as important as the product they offer. Applications are now open at vibrantspaces.com, along with full details about the program. We need your help sharing the opportunity with anyone you know who might be interested. We'll announce the first tenants this summer and expect to be open later this year. Thanks for your help, and we look forward to creating the Selden Market.
So we actually opened in October, so the video is a little dated on that aspect of it, but it's been incredible. It has had its growing pains. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it, but they've been good growing pains. You would feel in any retail business. I actually, when I said I wasn't going to open up anything else, it just meant I was going to open another B.O.B. So I actually opened up a kid's toy store. I have 4 kids, and it's the first time in 10 years they've wanted to go to work with me. Every time I get in my car to go to work, they're like, "Are you going to Pop? Are you going to Pop?" And so Power of Play is the store that we open there. It's a kid's toy store. I am one of the mentors in this space. So what's really great is that you have access to 3 other businesses that have been in business, and you're able to come talk to them about any challenges you might have. And then they also teach classes as well about different types of way to grow your business. It looks like there's a lot of resources out there for that. And their aspect of it is really just to make sure you have the foundation before you go out and get into a bigger space. So you pay an incredibly reduced rent in order to get your kind of concept incubated, and then you go hopefully out onto the street somewhere else in Norfolk and work with the city to find a space that's right for you. It's always turning over, so the hope is that you won't stay in the Selden for anywhere from 18 months to 2 years. It can be as short as 6 months. Your lease can, and then you move on, or you can start as a pop-up, which is kind of incredible as well. Just right down the center and kind of see if your concept flies or has legs. So I would encourage any of you that do look at retail. That's a great way to kind of get going. And then, let's see, what else do I have for you guys? So this is the inside of the store. This is the inside of each of the spaces. So they're very small. They run from, I think ours is 250 square feet up to 900 square feet. There is food. There is a kitchen there as well, so you can actually try out food products and things of that nature. So, but anyway, back to me. That's a project that I've been incredibly passionate about over the last couple of years, and I'm excited to kind of see what the city did as a partnership. Kind of back to A.Dodson, one of the things that I've always done and kind of comes from my parents is give back to my community. And so for different people, that means different things. For me, it means a program that we created called Roundup at A.Dodson. So we ask that you round up your change at every purchase, and every single month we allow our Facebook fans to vote on a charity of their choice for that to go to. I started the program back in 2011 because I was really tired of people coming in and asking me for a donation. I believe there's a lot of great causes out there, but sometimes you can't control who comes in and out of your doors to ask for money. So Roundup was created with my marketing director. The two of us just sat down and said, let's do something different. And every time somebody comes in to ask for a donation, we do say no. But we do say is we have a great, amazing Roundup program. I'd love for you to apply for it because we'd like to write a check for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for you instead of giving you something that you can auction off for $25. And usually people are very receptive to it. The negativity just is somebody that probably shouldn't have been out there asking for a donation. But what it does is it allows us to not only talk in social media about a charity that might need a little bit of awareness, as well as it allows my 32 employees to engage in what the need is in the community. So, for example, For Kids was our December charity. It allows us to talk about the homeless population that's going on here. It allows us to talk about their homework, Hot Meals for Homeworks program. It allows us to talk about their thrift store. So every time we're engaging with a customer, we're talking about someone else's business. So I feel like not only are we giving back in the dollars that we write, but we're also giving back and talking about that 501c3's message. And so lots of engagement in our social media once we started this program, and lots of conversation is kind of always going back and forth about why people love this program. Also, when I first started, my first check was $151. I haven't given away a check under $1,500 in the past 3 years, every single month. So we just hit the $12,000 mark last month. And so when you look at the amount of people rounding up versus we match it as well. So if they round up, we match the dollar of or change amount of the roundup. If somebody gives $10.53, we only do match the 53 cents. But we tell them not only match your change, but that allows us to really also have another social media platform to really talk about what we do and why we do it. So it's an incredible program that we're very proud of at A.Dodson. I do have 32 employees that work for me. We have one guy on the team. And we have everyone else, has a family. They have different things that are important to them. We try to always save a charity every year for something that's going on. What I've found is having so many employees that inevitably someone has a loss or something, or a charity that's close to them, or something meaningful, and we kind of get together, and that really brings us once a month, all talking about that employee and kind of what's going on in their lives. I do find it hard as we've grown to really have that personal touch with every single employee in the company. It is probably one of my biggest challenges on a daily basis, is to really know that how that I'm communicating to them, or allowing my executive team to communicate to them, because I do believe in delegating, and delegating is, I think, what helps make you successful. If you think you can do it all, that's great, but I'm here to tell you you can't. I'm sure Jack would agree with me there. Anytime that you take on more and don't give back to yourself, it's going to hurt you. I was listening to a great podcast the other day, and he was saying, from a retail minded, he was saying, make sure you take off a full day. I don't mean 12 hours in a day. If you're a retailer, you tend to work 7 days a week, whether you're on your computer, whether you're checking something, whether you're looking at the number 12 hours, 24 hours, you shut your phone off. You tell your staff, I'm taking this day for myself. I'm taking this day for my family. I tend to do it in bigger chunks. I take my family to Maine for a big part of this summer, about 4 weeks, and I really do shut down, and my staff knows it, because I know for the 40 days of Christmas, my kids don't see me. They do not see me. My customers see me on the floor, but my kids don't see me. And so you do give up one thing to get another. I was listening to Chris's talk that he gave last Wednesday to this group, and I loved what he said about you're not necessarily your own boss, your business is your boss. And I do agree with that. You know, my business rules me in a lot of ways, and sometimes I have to really pull back and not let it define who I am. People tend to know me as A. Dodson before they know Alison, which is somewhat of a disappointment in life, because I'm really a fun-loving kind of daredevil kind of person, but people don't see that. They only see the retail me. So I would caution you on, exposing yourself too much when it comes to, especially with the world of social media. You have to keep some things private and keep it to yourself. But what else I really have for you guys? I think that's about it. I wish each of you the best of luck. I've already had some incredible conversations about how to grow a business in the back. I do love retail. It is what I'm good at. Some people have to be ready to go into retail. So I would say, I would caution you, if you haven't worked it and you're thinking you want to open your own business, go work for someone else first and work a long time for someone, and be a sponge and be honest. I love hiring people that tell me they want to do what I do. That's not a turn off. That's a turn on for me, because I'm gonna be there for you when you tell me that. But be honest when you're going for those interviews that you one day want that as well. And so, any questions I can kind of answer? Yeah.
Pop. How did you come up with that name? That's a great name.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell my daughter that. My daughter is 9 years old. It's called Pop, the Power of Play. And she is definitely a kid that is loves any type of STEM activity. All the toys there are very interactive. There are some things that are what's hot on the market, but I don't know if you know, Toys R Us actually just claimed bankruptcy. So I think the independent toy store is on the rise, and I think that kids today, there's no electronics there. It's not someplace you're going to go, you have GameStop for that. You have Amazon for that, in my opinion. So she came up with it when I was kind of working on it, and we worked a little bit with Grow, the group there. Yeah.
That's a great name. Because it's easy to remember.
Yeah, thanks.
And then Power of Play. That's
yeah. Just a play. I always love the play on words. When I opened my business, because it's really going to date me, you wanted to be first in the phone book. I can't believe I'm saying that. So A. Dodson, that's why I put the A on there. It wasn't that it was my name. My mom is Alice, and then my dad was a oral surgeon in the area, and everybody knew him by Dodson. So I kind of felt like I was doing a tribute to my parents, but it also put me first in the phone book. Isn't that sad? It's really sad, isn't it? Just dated myself, so yeah.
So you mentioned that. So with your, I was not expecting for you to call me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever do service days with your employees?
We've talked about it. Actually, we tried to get with 4 kids to really talk about doing it, or really making a better partnership there where we could also mentor with them on their marketing or help them at their retail store. And to be frank, retail has one of the highest turnovers. It's like restaurants, so you have to be careful with that. While it seems like a great idea, keeping that momentum, you almost have to hire into it in order to get it going. Meaning that I have to have somebody to run that program for us. It would have to be somebody at the executive level, because inevitably your contact would probably leave you if you use an entry-level employee for it. You hope that they'll grow, but retail is it's an in-and-out business, unfortunately. People move. At the Norfolk store, we hire incredible college students that I fall in love with, and they leave you in 6 months to a year, And so you have to be ready for that. Yeah.
So when we asked you to come be a speaker, you mentioned that you weren't available some days because you were at market.
Yes.
So can you give us some insights as to how market works and what it is and how inventory, how do you know how much inventory to
Oh
have,
gosh,
all
yeah,
of that?
yeah. Well, that made lots of mistakes there. I'm actually in the middle of doing inventory counts right now. I left the Norfolk store to come here to do this talk. I'll go back there. Inventory, it's one of the toughest things in the world that you can ever, there's no master formula. I wish I could tell you that there is. There are things you can put down on paper to forecast what you might need, but there is no master to say that it will work. So Atlanta market, let's back up a little bit. Atlanta market is one of the biggest markets in our country. It's called the America's Mart. It's where people go to showcase their goods from all over the world. And it takes me an entire 7 days to walk it. On my Fitbit, I walk about 8 miles a day walking it. I come home, my feet are exhausted. I sleep with a pillow under my bed, at the end of my bed, just because my feet are so swollen from standing and kind of running around the concrete like you do. You're buying all your product a full year in advance, pretty much, sometimes 6 months in advance. So usually the January market is when I buy Christmas of next year. The July market is when I buy spring of next year. You may do a little fill-in, but mostly that's what you're using. Because they have to then go, the wholesaler that you're buying from has to then go and project with their companies in China or in, wherever your product is being made and say what they're actually going to sell. So you're putting together a number of different orders and you're getting your purchase orders, bringing them back. If you're a really good retailer, you're going ahead and putting them in your POS system so that you can forecast what your dollars that you need to sell them at in order to make your profits. You may then get them in your system and realize that you've over-purchased. You may have to go back and edit and cancel. We've already started that process. I like to go and take notes for any new companies that I'm thinking about carrying. And then I like to go home and research them. How quickly do they ship? Do they ship complete? Which means do they ship all of their products at once? Or are they someone that only ships 50% of the line or 75 or 95% of the line? Because I'm probably going to cancel the person that only ships 50 because I like to tell stories in my store. So if I don't have enough of the product to tell a story, then I haven't accomplished my ultimate goal. And once you do have a little bit more buying power, like we do with 3 stores, then you have a little bit more so on what you pay for a price point when you walk in. Because you can walk away. You can say, I'm buying 96 units of that product versus before I was buying only 12. So it does give you a little bit more power and play with the margins so we can offer a better price to our end consumer. But there's also the Vegas market. There's the New York market, which is a little bit of a higher end market. There are some small regional markets. There's even a small little apparel one here at ODU that ODU puts on at the Virginia Beach Conference Center. It's just a small little apparel only, but nicely done. I would highly recommend you check it out if you're at all interested in the industry. Might not be a product you like. Let me tell you, I buy products all day long that I don't like, but I know it's going to sell because I know my customers are asking for, and I know what my market segment is now that I've been doing this so many years. I can tell you that we've always got to have wax on the floor in some capacity. I can tell you that, predicting whether it's going to be a cold weather season or a warm winter is something I can't predict. But I'm going to hope that I have enough sweaters. This year we didn't. It's a lot colder, but it didn't start off that way. So I don't have a crystal ball. All I have is a computer that really forecasts my numbers for me and tells me where to go. That answers the question. Yeah. Yes.
When it comes to your marketing strategy, when you first got started versus where you are now,
Right.
can you maybe speak to how your marketing strategy has changed and where you're headed?
Yeah, it changes every day.
Sure.
I'll tell you that right now. So, because I'll go into why it changes every day. So when I first started, it was the phone book. I keep saying that. It was $2,600 for the year, I think, to be in the phone book. Or you had a newspaper. You had like the local little newspaper, like the Clipper and that type of thing. And that was $250 for the business card. I love numbers, can y'all tell that? So that was kind of where it started, and that's all we had in a budget. I had a billboard too for $400 out from Route 17. $400 a month. Yeah, on the way there. It's $400. And that was all the marketing budget that I had. You know, I probably underspent in the beginning, but it might have been a good thing because I had a lot of things to learn. So fast forward when we started our first website, you know, before it was Google AdWords all the way, before any of that, I thought that you would just open a website and all these people would come rushing to it, and that wasn't the case. So we actually made the mistake of splitting up our stock room into two different stock rooms, the web stock room, a regular stock room. Well, that didn't last very long, you know. So then you kind of fast forward a little bit. We did a little bit of magazine. I've done radio. I've done TV. What have I not done? And then kind of, I would say in the last 3 years, our focus has really been from a social perspective. And then also Google AdWords as a whole, whether it be shopping local, whether it be driving to our website for different traffic. You just have to play. I mean, you got to pay to play. You know, we don't ignore being either, because we do tend to skew with an older customer when it's talking about gift versus apparel. So I don't ignore her. Tend to get a little bit more bang for our buck, but it's not as big of a bang as we get for an overall with Google. That's always changing. The platform, I know Facebook was doing a big change this week on how they're targeting to you. Yep. You have to stay up on that every single day. We have somebody that's in charge of it, but we're always kind of feeding it. I mean, I don't love it. It's one of the hardest things for me. I'd rather come talk to you guys and tell you how to grow a business than I would just stand up and say, buy this product, because that's harder for me. So, but you have to do it.
You're selling an idea and a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's more fun for you to spend your time doing that versus spending your time trying to figure out how to get people to do it.
Right, right. And you know, somebody once told me that I sell an attainable fairy tale in the retail world. And I'm like, okay, that's really a nice compliment. It kind of always rings in the back of my head because, you know, I am a mom of 4. I do wear every single thing that we sell. I try to carry that all the way through in my home as well. Like what I put in my home comes from our store as well. So I'm selling myself, but I'm also using it. It's part of my everyday. So yeah, marketing is always changing. Right now, we're looking at actually one of the most interesting things we're looking at doing for 2018 is local delivery. So what we have found is that when we do a video or we talk about our product, people want that. They're either calling the store or they're going online and they're doing in-store pickup. If we run a sale, you can just, right now, it's our 75 off Christmas. All of my employees are running around like their heads cut off because people are buying from the website and they're coming into the stores at the same time. So it kind of creates a little bit of because our system is all linked to one, you know, sometimes you're grabbing it, trying to grab it before the customer grabs it, or you're letting it go and you're calling the web customer and saying it just sold out. So we're trying to get online delivery so we can deliver from online for either a small nominal fee, or if you spend so much, we'll deliver for free locally. And I think that'll bring us a lot of business. Yeah. So marketing, that's marketing. It's always changing. That's our biggest shift. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say is the most difficult part of being a shopping market?
In Norfolk?
Yes.
It was finding a space, to be honest. I know that I have worked a lot with the city to change that. I actually helped Evans, what's Evans' last name, Commissioner of Revenue? Thank you. Actually helped Evans, if you go on now to the website, to apply for a business license, I helped him develop that because some of the challenges I found was like somebody to answer my questions. Like I knew how to do it in Suffolk, but I didn't know how to do it in Norfolk, you know? So hopefully a lot of that was hard for me is easier for you, because if I had a bad experience, usually I'm calling someone and telling them, let's change the way this works. That's why I like to change the face of retail, because no one else should have to go through what I went through to get a simple business license. Even now, one thing I don't like, you have to go from one building to another if you have a fictitious name. So trying to work on that, right? Make that easier for you too. But I would say finding the right space. we didn't have the resources that you guys have now. We didn't have a vibrant spaces. We didn't have this incredible program here. So many resources that we didn't have when I started it. So, and then kind of working through a lease is always kind of one of the biggest challenges. Jack can probably speak to that too. It is. I mean, every landlord looks at a lease differently. Every lawyer looks at a lease differently. I would educate yourself. I know there's a lot of great speakers around town that give talks on that. I would always go to one of those for a lease. Never pay for your air conditioning. Never always look at the plumbing and the air conditioning part of your leases, because those are two when you're in the retail business that can kill you. But look at the way other people or landlords they'll usually give those classes and kind of tell you what to look out for. But those are probably my two biggest. Yeah.
Do you have a mentor that you work with on a regular basis, or another shop that you?
Yes, great question. So one person I kind of wanted to mention. Well, let me back up. Yes. I have a Rocking Retailers group that has about 76 retailers in it on Facebook that we're always talking. We meet at market and we talk. I also partnered with one of our biggest companies, Mud Pie. I asked to meet the president, and he has been a mentor to me. He meets with me 4 times a year. We talk about my business. I've grown a tremendous business because of him, and I've learned what to ask for and not ask for. So I actually went to my vendors and asked them to be my mentor, because they also hooked me up with other retailers that were in business like me that I should talk to. Another one would be John at Evergreen Enterprises up in Richmond. He's another reporter that mentors me. But usually I look for the other retailers for advice, and we're kind of always talking that are in my group. One person I've been following in particular lately that I hope she wouldn't mind me saying this has been Maya from Maya Couture. You might say that's odd for me to say that because her business is just closed. However, I think she's being very honest right now. She's an incredible blog about everything that she did right and wrong. I love when you're that open and you can say that and kind of be that blunt. I think she's an incredible person outside of what happened to her. And you have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to be honest about what your mistakes were. So I try to use that group to really bounce things off, and hopefully that people won't make the same mistakes I did. So. Yep.
So, in the name of supporting other local retailers, are there any that you have been kind of watching that you would like to that you are excited about? Any small businesses in Norfolk that you just think is doing like a really great job? Maybe not a competitor, but anything that you'd like to.
I think anybody that does this is doing a great job. It's so hard. I mean that wholeheartedly. I mean, and I try to go out of my way, whether I go into a restaurant or go into a retail store, to say great job, because I think it's incredible. I would say Jen Henderson at Worth the Wait. She's a consignment store in Virginia Beach. She's kind of in her second or third year. She bought that business out. She's doing an incredible job of social media. I also know her as a person, so she's a really good person. I would say the girls over at the, oh my goodness, I'm blanking, the new gift store. Because they looked at one of the spaces, we looked at, not Jolly, where's the Jolly? The new gift store right there on, they do more party planning and things like that. They're doing a great job. I love my next door neighbors, but I mean, just from a product of, Le Marché on one side of us, Cartier on the other. I mean, two different worlds, but great products that they're offering. But it's also about the customer service when I walk into either one of those stores, or when somebody answers the phone to help me. You look for those partnerships. Kindness will get you everywhere. And asking, I had somebody Facebook me today to ask me if they could sit down with me for 5 minutes. Yes. What do I have? 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes to tell you every mistake or good thing that I did, in hopes that you can learn from it. So I think anybody that does it, I think Delightful Digs down in Virginia Beach, she does a great job of what she does. In Norfolk. What else do we have in Norfolk? Yeah, okay. The guys at Hi Ho Silver, I've gotten to be really good friends with them. Chris and Leslie Sink, they do a phenomenal job. They're always looking at their business model, kind of how to change it, and kind of what to do, and that's nice to see. There's a group called Retail Alliance that I was previously a part of. I was on the board there and got a lot of good friends and kind of good comrades from that as well. So it's what you make of it. You can join any of those organizations, but if you're not going to participate and you're not going to be part of it, just like this great resource, then you're not going to get anything out of it. So, yeah.
I just had a question. Great. How do you know if you're getting ready to set up a business?
Great.
How do you know you've done enough market research? When do you feel like it's come down?
When do you know it's done? Yeah, that's a tough one because it's always changing. You know, it's always changing. What's that? They can be, and let's face it, so much is driven today from mobile. So I would look at my demographics also that way as well. I would say once, maybe you can test a little bit of your market in the social world, seeing where they're going and where they're coming from and what their demographics are. We do a lot of polls on before I'm buying even a product, just asking like what is it that, would you like more for a pop? Would you like more STEM activity products, or would you like more outdoor games, or would you like, so we can kind of figure out kind of who's following us and what they want. Doesn't mean I always take the advice, because sometimes I just know a product's going to sell just by touching it, and they're not there to touch it. But as far as the demographics and kind of cutting it and slicing it, you kind of know when you can't slice it any other way. It is one of the things that you'll get to a point where you can't cut the apple down anymore. But you just have to be ready for it to change too, because you think you're going to have walk through your door doesn't necessarily mean that they are. And foot traffic is down. I don't care what anyone says. Foot traffic is down, it's down, it's down. So you have one of two choices. You've got to increase your online sales, which hopefully we're going to do even more through local delivery, or you've got to raise your average ticket price to do what you did last year. So remember, if you're not growing, you're dying. My husband always tells me that every single year when we review the numbers. If you're, yeah.
For an online business that's kind of way out there, how do you keep your customers' information safe with all this cyber?
Well, you do an SSL certificate, so it's really on the company that you hire to kind of do that. There's been breaches. Even I think the Visa and MasterCard had a huge one last year. I think it went down. Small Business Saturday of all days. Really, Small Business Saturday? Wasn't it last year? Small Business Saturday? I can't remember. But it went down. Down. So, you do the best you can. Hopefully your point of sale system has something that links into it, and then but you're purchasing that as an added layer of security when you're doing it. Yeah, I would say stay away from any. You want to look when building a website in the retail world at something that has R&D behind it. They put the research and development and put the dollars, and they have the investment to go forward. We're on a Shopify platform. Somebody else I think was on a WooCommerce here. BigCommerce is another one. There's a number out there, but when you get to the smaller ones, that's when you want to kind of look at an added layer of security. Yeah.
Yes, so I just want to comment and ask a question. You talked about how you build a customer base with store now, which I think there's an analog digital side of life right now, especially in our current economy, the way that people ask questions about digital marketing. That is a trend right now. Can you share with us a little bit about what budget for staff, but the real key to businesses growing out is the R&D behind your website and the analytics and the money you spend on the IT person, or the one person that wraps all this together. But basically, just maybe share some insights into.
It made a lot of mistakes there.
Even if you already have a customer base, they're spending money on this for development. Such for ourselves, we know that the market's never changing, so you want to have your products. And very sophisticated software now that's tied into the website. Everything else in for tells you whether you're the developer or you're paying for fairly high price, what your customers are going to expect next year, also what they'd like. There's a massive onslaught of intelligence gathering now on what the market is, everywhere from your GPS location to.
You can go down every single one of those rabbit holes, but we don't.
Okay, so you spend.
We pick the ones we're going to go down.
Absolutely. So you spend, you mentioned Google, which is by far the largest advertising on it right now we have. But you spend a significant amount of your budget on the R&D side of managing your website and also looking into the analytics of your business.
Yes, yes. Our ratio is 25% of our ad budget goes into that kind of pot of the R&D part of it.
Yes.
So, but that's a person, kind of is the way I look at it. But I mean, any good POS system, I mean, this is where if you're a retailer, make sure that you have the right point of sale system that hooks it up into your online.
Right.
So I made that mistake of thinking, oh, I can have one over here, I can have one over here, and I'll bridge them, and it'll all work beautifully. And I've done it 3 times over, it never works beautifully. It doesn't matter who can build it, says they can build it for you, and what you can pay for it, it doesn't. I mean, there's so many roads you can go down with that. I mean, at the end of the day, do you need to know exactly where in the world that person's standing when they're searching for you? Probably not. I mean, it's nice to know in a generality that most of your traffic was driven from this part of the country or from this state or this city. Do you need to know down to the nuts and bolts? Maybe if you live in New York City, but not here, because and then, yes, we look at it, how did we drive traffic? Did we drive it from social sites? Did we drive it organically? Did we drive it from an email blast we do? I believe in email still, just like I still believe in direct mail. Believe it or not, people are not getting things in their mailbox, and they love it when they get a coupon in the mail. But I mean, you have to look at it from all different angles as to where they're coming to from your website and what their demographics are, like what their age group is and what you think they are. But at some point, you have to say again, enough is enough, and look at it. You can have all the reports you want. I can pull up any report you want from my POS system, but if I'm not using them, then what good is it? So, I would start small on that and then add the next layer that you're ready to research and put the time towards. But I think sometimes when you start with that big, robust information, you don't know what to do with it, So I would say every year we're kind of looking at adding on another layer, but, hold yourself back in that department a little bit if you can.
Thank you all for the questions. Alison, if you would just give us one, if you're thinking about becoming your own boss, and let's say you're on the fence about it, or you really want to go out on a limb and do this, what is your one piece of advice?
My one piece of advice, it can't be 2 parts.
Yeah, sure.
My first piece of advice is work for someone else in the exact industry that you want to go into. And just be honest when you walk in the door and ask for the interview. This is what I want to do. I promise you I'll be here for a year, or I'll be here for 2, or it's just like climbing a ladder at any corporation. And then my second part to that would be being your own boss is one of the hardest things you will ever do. If you're not a disciplined person, this is not the right business for you to go into. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, make sure to follow @Strome EC to tune in next time.